Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? It's Friday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, that is. And I'm KJ, and this is KJ's What Happened, which is covering different events that took place from March 10th to today, which is March 16th. At least I believe it is. Yeah, it is. So we're good there. But hey, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great week. Hope you're ready for some interesting bits tonight. This has been a very interesting week. So we've got some real doozies this time around. I also want to say there was some great news on YouTube today, and that's that our friend Casey from Enter the Stars got his original YouTube channel back. So that's awesome news. Congratulations, Casey. He and I have been talking a bit online. Some of you who followed me for years know that had a lot of shows with Casey in the past. I mean, also back in my old radio program, had him on there as well. So we're going to have to do one again here soon where we both get together and chat. I think that'd be a lot of fun. He's one of my longest running YouTube friends. But anyway, so it was good to know that he's back. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of us that I used to kind of talk to back then. Casey was one. Nicholson, 1968. Haven't talked to him in a while. I'd like to talk to him again. Jeff C. from Free Radio Revolution and Fake News Report, I think, is one of his new ones, and Supreme Lord Commander. Definitely a guy he's been kicked off YouTube multiple times. I think he finally left. I saw him on DTube, and I left him a message, but it looks like he's doing pretty good over there as far as he's getting views. He's getting his videos up and out, and that's good stuff. So, you know, shout out to Jeff C. And I'd like to chat with him again, too. So I'll have to pull some of these old school guys together again sometime. We'll have to do a catching up with KJ or something and get everybody on there. Anyway, so let's just go ahead and get into it, man. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. So slide on your thinking caps and click on your seatbelts. It's going to get bumpy up in here in a good way, hopefully. Anyway, we got this one right here. The woman who stared at her phone for 20 hours straight nearly dies from blood clots on the brain. Medics say the 47-year-old Chinese migrant worker developed life-threatening blood clots on her brain. She almost died after she spent her 20-hour train journey glued to her phone. The surgeon who performed the operation points out where the blood clots were on the woman's brain. Congestion on the train meant the unnamed woman was unable to or unwilling to move from her prone position. So as soon as she got off the train, she fainted on the platform, and the woman was taken to a hospital and rushed in for surgery, as medics said she had developed life-threatening blood clots on her brain. That's some pretty freaky stuff, if that's connected to the technology, right? Or just, you know, some people spend their whole lives doing this, being in a prone or supine position and just staring at electronics, you know, all day long and all night long. And obviously that can't be good for us. These are some of the drawbacks of them wanting to turn us into robots, right? They're drawbacks for us at least, but so there's that. Human guinea pigs. It's one of Britain's most secretive sites, remaining shrouded in mystery for more than 100 years. But this week, Porton Down found itself at the center of one of the biggest diplomatic crises the UK has faced in recent years. The top secret defense base in Wiltshire was instrumental in helping identify the nerve agent used to poison a former Russian spy. Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were poisoned with a weapons-grade nerve agent in the city last week, leaving them fighting for their lives in the hospital. And not only have scientists from the specialist laboratory been at the center of a cleanup operation following the attack, but it's helped identify Russia as the source of the poison. Porton Down's a 7,000-acre site near Salisbury, one of UK's most secretive and controversial military research facilities and the oldest chemical warfare research installations in the world. I'm not seeing where they're experimenting on people. unless they're claiming that's what this is. Here we go. Since 1916, more than 20,000 people have taken part in studies of the base. Porton-Down's experiments on humans have been widely criticized, as it's alleged some human guinea pigs were duped into taking part in these tests. And these tests were carried out on servicemen to try and determine the effects of nerve agents on humans, with one recorded death due to a nerve gas experiment. All right. We get it. Here's some nightmare fuel for you if you were looking for some nightmare fuel. These things are real. These terrifying robot wolves now prowl farms in Japan to keep boars away. Look at that thing. They've been dubbed super monster wolves. And yes, this is 100% real. So apparently there's a boar problem out there. So in an effort to get the boar problem under control, some mad genius created the super monster wolf, a robotic roaming hell beast that's equipped with a terrifying howl as well as a set of glowing red eyes. It may look like a decoration you'd spend way too much on its spirit Halloween, but it's actually proven to be a game changer. The robotic wolves, which measure right around 2 feet tall and rely on motion sensors to detect the pests they've been tasked with spooking, are soon entering mass production, allowing farmers around Japan to hire their own for about $5,000. Early trials have proven incredibly successful. Man, look at that thing. Freaky, huh? Monster robot wolf. Man, so here's some more of that fake news stuff. A few times during some of my shows, I've talked about some of these websites that are straight up fake news, like Your Newswire is one of them, and Neonettle is the other one, or Neon Nettle is another one. I'm pretty sure this one is to Real News Right Now. These kind of sites, you know, we had the YouTube purge recently, and in some sense, it's probably still going on, just not quite as intense. But but during that, there were a few channels I was subbed to that got taken out. And I think it's mainly because, you know, I liked some of their videos, but a lot of the stuff they did, they were referencing these fake news sites like Your Newswire and Neon Nettle, and they'd put those titles in their headlines, you know, like, you know, Keanu Reeves says the Queen of England is a baby raping reptile, or, you know, just stuff like this or whatever, right? These really fantastic clickbaity type headlines. And that eventually got some of these people's channels taken down, I believe. I mean, they were duped into following these stupid stories anyway. But it's interesting how that works, you know? So we have to be really careful of our sources, of course. But Real News Right Now, I couldn't find anything on this story outside of this website. That's why I'm saying this is fake news. But White House says Trump in frequent contact with extraterrestrials. You know, I'm not even going to read it. I did, and there's not much to it. Apparently, this is the investigative journalist. Yeah. Anyway, no other links anywhere about this. I just kind of wanted to point that one out. This happens a lot. Here's some cool footage. I did a video recently talking about, are these, what is it? I can't remember what I called it. You know, are these signs in the sky, or these things in the sky, like a symbol of war in heaven? I can't remember the name of the video right now. Some of y'all know it if you watched it, but I just put that out over the last few weeks. But there was a lot of stuff like this. You know, there's things happening in the skies that are really unusual right now that aren't, you know, ships, and they're not even the orbs, like the shape-shifting entities or any of that stuff. It's just stuff like this, where they're changing colors in the sky. It's very strange. And, you know, this isn't like a fire, and this isn't like some downtown area or anything like that. It's just, these are areas that are typically dark when it's dark outside, and people who live in these areas are noticing, hey, why is the sky lighting up in really strange ways, and at times staying that way for hours at a time, and then a lot of times just blinking off when it's done, almost if a light switch turns off. So anyway, here's a new one, and this is from looks like Yorkshire. So I'll play some of this out here for you. Anyway, there you go. I think you get the gist. He just keeps kind of going back to it and showing it. But it's interesting, man. Something's going on out there. Let me see if this is no, he's still playing that music. I have to be real careful about that. Excuse me, playing music on these videos I show you guys. They've already got me on a few of them. Anyway, I wanted to share that. Okay, this one is really, really, really crazy, and it's pretty much gone viral over the last 24 hours. I think you can hear it. So, all right, where to begin? I think the next story talks about this as well. I have set up. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Let's jump at this one first. So this guy got a mysterious voicemail with weird military codes. They say terrifying here. And that's what happened. And wait till you see how they've connected these codes. But anyway, so that's basically the idea. This guy, his name's Ty. He explains it here in just a second. But let me just go ahead and play it for you, and we'll go from there. So let's try this one. All right, here we go. Listen to this.
Sierra, Delta, Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra, India, Tango, India, Sierra, Delta, India, Romeo, Echo, Foxtrot, Oscar, Romeo, Yankee, Oscar, Uniform, Tango, Oscar, Echo, Victor, Alpha, Charlie, Uniform, Alpha, Tango, Echo, Bravo, Echo, Charlie, Alpha, Uniform, Tango, India, Oscar, Uniform, Sierra, Tango, Hotel, Echo, Yankee, Alpha, Romeo, Echo, November, Oscar, Tango, Hotel, Uniform, Mike, Alpha, November. 042933964230. Sierra, Oscar, Sierra, Delta, Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar.
Anyway, I think you get the gist. It's almost over. Yeah, there, it's finally finished. So he gets this random voicemail from unknown, and it's all this military jargon, and you can follow it right down here. But this part's interesting right here. So it literally translates to danger SOS. It is dire for you to evacuate. Be cautious. They are not human. SOS, danger, SOS. And then it gives coordinates. Right here. He says, also, I should probably include, this happened a few days ago before I got that voicemail. Okay, I'm sitting in my car right in front of my house, in my car, and this guy started taking pictures of my house with flash. Then he walked away. Literally, what the F is, it's 3 a.m. I'm going to die tonight. But right here it says, excuse me, what's going on? And he got this message as well from some random person, and translated it says, in the post you just shared about the recording on your phone. But it's in a, I don't know, some different language. So there's that. Now let's jump to the story here. So we've seen this stuff, what it translated to. Then he got this message. Somebody outside the house. Anyway, here we go. Okay. So a few people noted that the voicemail's coordinates, because it gave coordinates, corresponded with the area of the Malaysian airplane crash. That's the flight that disappeared. Some of you may remember that, right? It's that plane that just kind of disappeared out of thin air. Their theory is that the voicemail was a black box recording from the plane as it was going down. So basically the SOS referenced a potential last-ditch effort to survive. According to the theory, Ty may have received the message because crash occurred during 2 solar flares, so the atmosphere was putting out more electromagnetic pulses and thus upping the potential for a lost or redirected message. So yeah, they checked out the coordinates right here, and it turned out it was right in the area that the plane went missing. So I guess that's a possibility as well. I don't know. They're saying it could be the black box. They're talking about the black box here. Isn't it crazy though, man? I mean, I think it was last week or the week before we did the story about the missing skier. There was a guy that was skiing in New York, and then he got caught up in a storm and he disappeared, and they found him 5 days later on the other coast. They found him in Sacramento, California, still wearing all of his ski gear, and he didn't know how he got there. And that's a mainstream story. If you were listening, I think you guys remember that one. But it's just weird how we're having these strange little glitches in the matrix, right? So who knows what exactly this one is, but it's a very, very interesting story to follow. So I wanted to share that. It's pretty wild, huh? So more phallic worship. I did a video about phallic worship not long ago. I even included this festival in that video. But anyway, this is taking place at a Japanese fertility festival. It's the worship of the wiener. The wiener worship. And they do it in all kinds of strange ways. Whoa. They cook them, and they make cookies and candies. Well, that's good for the kids. Honey, are you hungry? You want some sugar? Yeah, Mommy, I want some sugar. Okay, here's $1. Go get the wiener. Anyway, I think we get it. Phallic worship, though, this goes back. This is that pagan stuff. It's where we're at again, man. It's just a full-on onslaught of all the old pagan religions and everything from Mystery Babylon reemerging and coming back. More phallic worship. And you know, they've got this thing going on here lately. Putin pledges Russian Mars mission in 2019 ahead of Musk and Trump. And Trump's talking about going to Mars. And Mars has been in the news, this mission to Mars, over the last few days. And Mars was the god of war and also the god of bloodshed. So it's interesting. And we already know, a lot of us know, that we're right on the edge of the event, you know, whatever that may be. And then World War III soon to follow. So we know we're in those times. It's interesting how this stuff comes out sometimes and seems a bit coded, you know. Check this out, man. Stormtrooper crucified in London. The symbolism. Look at the symbolism behind his head. It's of course, the sun symbolism, and this goes back to all the higher end Masons, but even all the lower end Masons know about this. You know, the sun worship, the worship of the sun, the SUN. And even that symbol is the same symbol they use for Walmart, which is interesting, minus the circle drawn in the middle, but it's the same symbol. It's also the 2 intersecting pyramids. It's the as above, so below paradigm as well. And some may say the Star of David's mixed in there. So interesting, right? But yeah, just, you know, total blasphemy. Yeah, that's like wrong on so many levels, of course. Most people in these shows are like, well, that's very interesting. I wonder what he's trying to say. This means something. You know? Okay, so this is a really good video. It's called Expert Asks Questions About Parkland. I took this because it's one of those that I don't know how long it's going to last out there. So for prosperity's sake, I took it, I downloaded it, and I re-uploaded it to my website. So it's up there as well. So check this out sometime. You don't have to go to my website to do it. You can if you like. It'd be wonderful. But check this out. Expert Asks Questions About Parkland. An amazing video. Look that up. And yeah, so YouTube has totally jumped the shark. It's just getting crazier, man. It's just getting crazier. Like I said, I was on DTube today. I'm starting a thing on DTube where every day I'm going to upload like a new video there. And it'll be like one of my videos. But I've got hundreds of videos between Scariest Movie Ever and my KJ Osborne channel. So I'm trying to fatten it up over there and eventually get there. I've been uploading to Minds for about 6 months now. And just like a lot of other YouTubers, a lot of us are looking to these other areas and just trying to get set up in these other spots. And I'll continue doing that. I'm going to stay on YouTube as long as I'm allowed. And, but who knows? I mean, it's just getting crazier with stuff like this. Have you heard about this? YouTube's going to solve its, quote, conspiracy problem with Wikipedia. And here we go. So YouTube has come under fire for an algorithm that can be easily tricked by conspiracy theorists looking for an audience. Oh, boy. Here we go, right? So they're turning to Wikipedia for validation. What a joke. I can go edit Wikipedia right now, and so can you. It's constantly being edited. Critics say the reliance on the crowdsourced encyclopedia won't help. It's far too easy to game Wikipedia, which is true. The criticism Wikipedia staff sought to deflect Wednesday. The Google-owned video network said late Tuesday it would put links to Wikipedia about events in text boxes around widely accepted events like the 1969 moon landing. The decision is the latest attempt to counter a public backlash after its trending videos tab gave a wide platform to clips that shared false or misleading information about breaking national news events like the high school shooting in Parkland, Florida, and last year's mass shooting in Vegas. Some of those videos are legit. Of course, we have a lot of questions. And then some, it's all thanks to the good old YouTube auto hoaxers, right? Within 24 hours, every event. No one died. Everything's fake. They're all liars. And we definitely owe a big debt of gratitude to those people for the increasing censorship here on YouTube. That's my opinion. But yes, we do need to ask questions about all these things. I just did a video talking a bit about this stuff myself. So moving on, but the ability for anyone to update a Wikipedia post where those changes will stay until another user notices and changes make the encyclopedia a questionable source for fact-checking. Jamie Cohen, an assistant professor at Malloy College, said Google is basically shifting the responsibility from the corporation to the volunteers who edit Wikipedia. If they want a true authority for validation, they should go to the source of the information. He suggested a trusted news organization would make more sense. Question is, are there any trusted news organizations left? Wikipedia, where all posts are written by users, has become the web's encyclopedia. Anyone can edit it. An approach the nonprofit defends by noting research shows that as more people contribute, articles become more accurate and more balanced. Okay. But anyway, so that's what they're going to start doing. Like right here, it's talking about the moon landing. It's like a 5 most believed Apollo moon landing conspiracies. And now you're going to have this little bit right here where it's going to fill in some information and give you links to Wikipedia. So you can go double check it. I mean, yeah. This is what we're up against. It's unbelievable. YouTube really is dying. It's dying quicker. I mean, unfortunately, it's still the best platform out there, to get worldwide reach. But, I think things are changing, man. They're changing really fast. I mean, this is full-on warfare against their own creators. Now, they've been doing this for a long time with us. It's not just us in these kind of critical thinking communities. It's all kinds of different people on YouTube. But, we definitely have been targeted the most, and it's getting really crazy now. So who knows, man? I mean, who knows? It's like we really are living in idiocracy, Here's really good footage. This goes back to the idea I was saying earlier that, I've been saying this for years, but the veil really is lifting and more paranormal and supernatural type events are taking place. And for years, I've said that. I've said, just wait, it's going to get crazier. And we're definitely seeing that. We're seeing more oddities in the sky that can't even be put into categories, like I said, as a ship, a spaceship. or orbs even. Like, these are new things. This is something else. But this is very interesting what they saw in Thailand. Check this out.
See in the photos here what appears to be a fireball falling from the sky. Locals get scared and even comment on social networks. Facebook has become viral. Many comment that it is just a natural phenomenon, where
Very interesting. It's pretty wild, right? Look at that. I mean, look at that. It's fascinating. What exactly is it? You know, look at this. Not just some cloud. Something's going on. We're seeing more and more of these strange anomalies like this. It's fascinating. So, okay, this one I wanted to throw out there. So this is, I just watched the new X-Files on Wednesday. I kind of grew up on the X-Files, so of course I'm still going to watch it now. It's interesting to watch the new one. I wanted to give this one a shout out just on the creative tip. You know, some of you who have been with me for a long time, you know, I worked out in LA for a long time. Before that, I'd gone to film school, and I'm like a sci-fi horror kind of geek. And I'm a writer. I've written a lot of stuff. None of it's published. I was writing scripts. I've got tons of short stories. Maybe one of these days, I don't know, if we're still around and I get really, really old, maybe I'll start, you know, writing more and, you know, whatever, getting back into that some. But I do love it. I love creativity and writing. But so I can respect a really interesting story. This was one of the most demented X-Files I've ever seen. It kind of touches on stuff we get into here. And that's like the idea that the Hollywood elite, you know, a lot of them feed on blood to stay young. They definitely use blood for their facials. You know, Kim Kardashian's come out about that. Some of the other ones, I can't remember off the top of my head who, but I know that's a thing out there. We've seen, right? They use, even the occultists and the Satanists believe that there's power in the blood, especially the blood of the young. So this episode was crazy because, see if it shows the lady here. No. Doesn't show the lady. It shows these guys. But anyway, the whole idea is that this guy right here is some kind of a scientist. And he's developed a way where you can literally sew somebody onto your back like this. And there's a tube between them where all of her blood and everything from her spine is draining directly into him. And in this TV show, he's 85 years old. Of course, he looks like he's probably more in his 40s or 50s. And his wife was a television star back in the early 1970s. So they're both like in their 80s now. And she looks exactly like she did back then. And she's kind of crazy. And she walks around singing old show tunes and stuff. And they keep all these people in their home, feeding them on blood. And it's just crazy. But they're basically creating these blood sacks, keeping these people around that have no home. And then they sew them onto their back. And they take their vitality and their youth through their blood. So anyway, crazy stuff, weird story. That's for the sci-fi horror geeks out there. I know some of you are out there, but that was a really weird one. I'm really interested to see this documentary on Pope Francis. It's called A Man of His Word. Wow. This guy's scary. I've covered him quite a bit myself. Many believe he's the actual false prophet from the Bible, filled with so many contradictions. A lot of the things he says, it's very interesting. So that's just one to look out for if you want to do a bit of a study. The mainstream's going to put out a movie about this guy, Pope Francis, a man of his word. It'll be interesting to see what that's all about, right? I think so.
My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a war-fighting domain.
And now a word from your president.
Strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a space force, develop another one, Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force. We have the Army, the Navy. You know, I was saying it the other day because we're doing a tremendous amount of work in space. I said, maybe we need a new force. We'll call it the Space Force. And I was not really serious. And then I said, what a great idea. Maybe we'll have to do that. That could happen. That could be the big breaking story. Look at all those people back there. Look at them. Oh, that fake news. Oh. They know, they understand.
Anyway, Space Wars, a Space Force. It's very interesting. I don't know, you know, like it's this stuff's in the mainstream in a lot of the last few years because as I've said in a lot of my videos and work for years, they're preparing us for contact, and the contact will definitely be, it's going to be one of the last cards they play, you know, the alien invasion, real, fake, or otherwise. But that's definitely in the works. Interesting they're talking about the Space Force, but you know, I just don't know. And I've always felt, even like my feelings on Star Trek, is it was giving humanity this false hope, you know, that that's where we were going to lead someday. The world was just going to continue on, and it'd be like Star Wars someday. But you know, the Bible tells us differently, and some of us that have those eyes to see, we know what time it is. You know, we see something else playing out. So it's very, very interesting that they set this stuff up. I sometimes wonder if it's all just a way to kind of keep people in a false state of hope for this world. But, you know, those of us who follow Christ, those of us who accepted Christ as our Lord and Savior, have the Holy Spirit, believe in God, love God. You know, we know you're not supposed to have really any hope in this world. You know, it's not about that, you know, so I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. We'll see where all this stuff heads with Space Wars, right? Anyway, you probably heard Hillary Clinton fell down again. There it is. And Russia Today made a meme out of it. And can't play the music. But this actually had me laughing pretty good if you want to check this out sometime. Sure, you know, Hillary Clinton's a witch. Yes, absolutely. She's vile and frightening. You know, but I try to, you know, as we're told, you know, to first off, not have hatred towards people, anybody, no matter how wicked they may be. And, you know, try to love everybody, you know, and ask for forgiveness, you know, for your enemies and everything, right? So, but, you know, I can still get a chuckle or two every now and then out of a good Hillary Clinton falling down meme. So I figured I'd just kind of pop that out there for you. If you want to go watch that sometime, that's there. Maybe you heard about this. Astronaut's gene expression no longer same as his identical twin, NASA finds. They're saying that astronaut Scott Kelly, he was up in ISS for a year. They're saying now that he's back, his DNA's changed. Spending a year in space not only changes your outlook, it transforms your gene expression. Preliminary results from NASA's twin study. And see, there's something else to this too. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel there's more of a coded message in all this. And I'll be watching this story as it develops because there's a lot of just weird things about Scott Kelly anyway. Anyway, the twin study, the twin systems, reveals that 7% of astronaut Scott Kelly's genetic expression, how his genes function within cells, did not return to baseline after his return to Earth 2 years ago. The study looks at what happened to Kelly before, during, and after he spent 1 year aboard the International Space Station through an extensive comparison with his identical twin Mark, who remained on Earth. Though Scott Kelly's genetic expression changed, he and Mark are still identical. Changes in gene expression are how the human body reacts to the environment. Kelly's transformation suggests long-term alterations related to at least 5 biological pathways and functions. The newest preliminary results from this unique study of Kelly, now retired from NASA, were released at the 2018 Investigators Workshop for NASA's Human Research Program in January. Last year, NASA published its first round of preliminary results of the 2017 Investigators Workshop. Overall, the 2018 findings corroborated those from 2017 with some additions. To track physical changes caused by time and space, scientists measured Kelly's metabolites, cytokines, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and proteins before, during, and after his mission. The researchers learned that space flight is associated with oxygen deprivation stress, increased inflammation, and dramatic nutrient shifts that affect gene expression. So anyway, interesting article looking to Mars again. They're talking about going to Mars, war on Mars, the god of war, the god of bloodshed. Let me see. What's his name? Scott Kelly. Some weird stuff about him. Let's see. Is this right here? Well, I guess there we go. Show us a picture. Mark Kelly, I meant, not Scott. But his wife is this lady. This is taking a while to come up. All right, let's try this. Gabrielle, there he is. Giffords. She's married to Mark Kelly. He's one of the astronauts. But, you know, she was involved in this right here. If it'll come up. Here we go. So she's involved in this movement, right? The anti this word, right, YouTube? So it's interesting. She was involved in one of those situations. And she's married to that astronaut. But a lot of people think that she is just acting. So something to look into. Some interesting things happening there, perhaps. Just something for you to kind of check out if you care to. Just more surveillance state. Now it's gotten to the point where it's like this. Home sellers are now using spy cams to gather intel on their prospective buyers. So they just, you know, anytime somebody's going to these houses to check them out, they have multiple surveillance cameras that just record everything. And like I said, it's, you know, for the most part, a fairly innocuous type story, but it just goes to show you, again, the growth of the surveillance state among us, right?
A startup founded by 2 MIT grads is giving folks the chance to startup founded by...
Well, check this out.
By 2 MIT grads is giving folks the chance to preserve their memories forever, but they will have to kill you first. Nectome, the company behind the technology, writes on its website, quote, "Our mission is to preserve your brain well enough to keep all its memories intact, from that great chapter of your favorite book to the feeling of cold winter air, baking an apple pie, or having dinner with your friends and family." According to MIT Technology Review, the plan is to focus on people suffering from terminal illnesses. The startup has a waiting list of about 25 people who have paid a $10,000 deposit for the service. Matt Uris, KDKA News.
It's pretty crazy, right? So you have to die, but they can preserve your brain. And a lot of these people are trying to do this. They believe that there can be a cryo freeze type situation, and perhaps one day have that brain put into some kind of a new body or an avatar or something, right? So once again, we're living in a science fiction horror film in more ways than one. Speaking of a horror film, Oklahoma mom who once married her son will now go to jail for marrying her daughter. Patricia Ann Spann, 46, and her biological daughter, Misty Velvet Dawn, 26, got married in the town of Lawton about 17 months after same-sex marriage became legal in the state of Oklahoma. To get around the potential snag of their shared family name, Patricia Spann listed her name as Patricia Ann Clayton on the pair's marriage license filed with Comanche County. For her part, marrying her daughter 2 years after she was legally allowed to contact her children following an annulled marriage to her biological son, Patricia Spann will serve time in jail. The newspaper reported that she pleaded guilty to felony incest Tuesday, and under a plea deal, the 46-year-old will serve 2 years in prison, followed by 8 years of probation. She will have to register as a sex offender following her release. Incest is punishable by up to 10 years in prison in Oklahoma. Patricia Spann told child welfare investigators she lost custody of Misty and her 2 other half-children before reconnecting with them in 2014. And that's when Patricia and Misty, quote, hit it off and started the relationship that eventually landed them both in jail. Gross. Before the pair was arrested, they made their home in Duncan, Oklahoma, about 30 miles from the Texas-Oklahoma state line. Her children were legally adopted by their paternal grandmother after Patricia Spann lost custody, and she even told investigators she thought her marriage to Misty was legal, quote, because her name was no longer listed on Misty's birth certificate. Anyway, man, twisted minds, right? Gross. No surprise here, man. More of this stuff about Trump getting one of these right here. Sean Penn's debut novel calls for assassination of a president identical to Trump by the main character who taunts, "Tweet me, B." Anyway, I think we get it. You know, there's a lot of this. There's even a Illuminati card game card about this, literally about Trump. I mean, it's got Trump's picture on it. Have you seen this? You might be new to this stuff, so... There it is. This card game came out in 1995, and it's basically an occult roadmap to everything that's been happening since. It had 9/11 in there, literally showing the Twin Towers getting hit, Pentagon, Princess Diana, Lady Gaga, there's an Obama. I mean, it's just, you name it, man. Like, it's all in there. So look up the Illuminati card game if you're not familiar with that idea. But this is one of the cards right there called Enough Was Enough. I mean, look at this. I mean, you're looking at, this is witchcraft in action. This is real witchcraft in action, man. Scrying. On a lesser level, it's all really, well, it's on a higher level, it's predictive programming. Putting the truth out before your very eyes before it even happens, which includes you in the spell. So enough was enough. Even underneath it right there, it says, at any time, any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. This is from 1995, and it's so weird that we're seeing this happening now. This dialogue, we're seeing him. We're seeing them constantly talking about him getting assassinated, right? So very, very interesting, I'd say. Tinder got sued by a transgender woman because they won't let her in, or him in, or them in. That's Ariel. Transgender woman is suing Tinder on behalf of other transgender people living in the Portland area, claiming it rejects all transgender people from the dating service. I see stories like this popping out more and more too. It's where the transgenders are getting upset that straight men don't want to date them, that straight men want nothing to do with them. And they're shocked at this. But again, we're living in a world turned upside down, right? It's crazy. Weird story. Navy medics getting prepared for combat. Okay, fine. I was actually a medic in the Coast Guard myself, so I get it. But they're doing a tour of duty in Chicago? Question mark. Conrad Poplowski, a 22-year-old Navy hospital corpsman, is about to be deployed as a battlefield medic with the 2nd Marine Division, which has served in deadly battlegrounds in Iraq and Afghanistan. But first, he is making a pit stop at Cook County's Stroger Hospital, which the Navy says is among few places here in the U.S. that provide experience treating the types of wounds he will inevitably see on the battlefield. And it looks like I can't finish that story without subscribing or signing in. But anyway, we see a lot of this too. We see a lot of military-type training taking place, in America. I did a Catching Up with KG a while back called My Experience. as a cry, blink, blink, blink actor. You can check that out. Not the same type of you-know-what actor that we see in a lot of these mainstream events. But I actually went and I did it for a day or a couple days with the military here where I'm at. And I was basically just somebody wounded, just like a whole bunch of us that went out there. You get paid and you get, they put makeup on you and stuff, and you just have to act wounded and keep people come help you out. But in talking with those guys that are running it, it's interesting because they said there've been a real uptick in those kinds of events, and they always want civilians to be a part of it. So that's also a part of kind of that formula we see with a lot of these big mass events that come out that seem a little shady. So anyway.
I believe that you're going to help me find out what humans taste of.
More of this stuff. Every week I've got more stories where they're kind of putting these stories out about, what's a human taste like? Hey, maybe we should just be cannibals. Hey, what's really wrong with it? Some more of that kind of stuff as well. The more dehumanizing the human. More humans acting like animals, right? But this is about lab-grown flesh. So, and remember we covered this story here. It's what I was talking about. Now that's why you start seeing more of this. That's why I know this is some kind of a program when I see this. Celebrity atheist Richard Dawkins recently tweeted asking his followers thoughts on starting a cannibal diet. Linking to an article about lab-grown flesh, the evolutionary biologist wrote, "I've long been looking forward to this," he wrote. "What if human meat is grown? Could we overcome our taboo against cannibalism?" Gross. We went on to say scientific breakthrough will be an interesting test case for the consequentialist morality versus yuck reaction, absolutism. Anyway, big words there, Richard. Big words there, Dawkins. Matt Wilkes, the University of Queensland, Australia, conducted a study into how people feel about the issue, and unsurprisingly, only a tiny proportion of people would be prepared to eat lab-grown human, dog, cat, or horse meat. She said, "I can't imagine that people who don't want to eat human meat now would suddenly feel motivated to eat human meat when produced via cellular agriculture. But they just want to get you used to the idea of eating each other and eating human meat, I think." Did a video on this way back. They are teaching us to eat each other. Whatever, Dawkins. Here's another one of those glows in the sky. This one's out. Well, is this the same one? Maybe it's just the same one uploaded somewhere else. No, this is different. There's more of these glowing skies.
I know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's like the sun is shining behind there and it's 1 in the morning. Could be a city with town off in the distance. I doubt that though, it's so bright. That's what I thought at first, but like, the clouds seem to head out there today. Yeah, it's weird. So it might have something to do with it. It's so unnaturally luminescent. Yeah, you can see the cloud coverage kind of starts falling off a bit though.
So yeah, there you go. More of that. More of these not typical type UFOs. More sky type events. And are these signs of the veil lifting? Are these signs of wars in the heavens? What could this be? Is it swamp gas? Ice crystals? HARP? Maybe. Actually, maybe HARP. We covered that already. Hi, Susan. We covered that. Thanks, Susan. I actually, I took these clips. I actually trimmed them off of, another video. Is from, what is it? Sons of Thunder, I think it is. I think it was from one of his videos where he had some clips of Susan up here on the stage talking about them doing this with videos on YouTube, specifically conspiracy type videos. So yeah. So thanks though, Sons. Sorry, I just used yours because the actual interview is like an hour and a half long. So when I clipped it down, I took some of the clips he put in his video and I put them up on my site so you can see her talking about what they're about to do. Boy, they. New monster fish.
Experts dumbfounded over its.
It's pretty weird looking. The experts in the area don't know what it is. It's in Australia. Take a look at that thing. It looks like it's got these massive like teeth sticking up over here at the front. See? Look at that. It looks like Predator. See those things right there? The front of the mouth kind of stick up. Look like, I don't know if they're big teeth or what they are, but anyway. Another mysterious beast from the sea. The beasts are rising from the sea. This is a really crazy story, too. Lightning strike kills 16, injures 140 at a church in Rwanda. At least 16 people were killed in Rwanda and 140 others injured when lightning struck a Seventh-day Adventist church in the country's south. The churchgoers were injured and rushed to a nearby hospital where 2 were in serious condition. 17 of those injured are still in the hospital while the rest have been discharged. A similar incident occurred on Friday when lightning struck a group of 18 students. 18, 666, but 18 students, killing 1. Last October, lightning killed 666, another 18 people in different parts of the country. Lightning strikes are frequent across Rwanda, which has many hills and mountains, and the country's police record a number of human and livestock deaths each year. Interesting stuff. And now they've got gender-neutral mothers cards are coming out. Hey, oh boy. Waitrose is selling gender-neutral Mother's Day cards, as retailers reduce their use of the M word, how dare they, to make today's celebration more transgender inclusive. Guys, the world is turning upside down. Don't you see it? You don't have Jesus now, please. Please. We can't continue. We can't keep on like this. The supermarket chain is selling a Happy You Day card in its Mother's Day range in which the word mother does not appear. Waitrose said the move was aimed at broadening out who the cards can go to, whether it's grandmas or transgender moms. Jesus, get me off this rock, please. I'm ready. So I don't like to make fun of people's looks and stuff like that. I really try to stay away from, because that's a cheap shot. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to give you a but. But in this case, it's nothing like that. They scare me though when I see them. They creep me out a bit. These kids, they come a long way, and they started on Full House, and then I think they had their own little TV shows, or they did a series of movies that were real popular. These young ladies are like multimillionaires, if not billionaires at this point. And one of them was with Heath Ledger when he died, and there was a lot of interesting Illuminati and occult type connections and symbolism all around that death and all around Heath Ledger. But one of these girls was there, so that's interesting. But now the Olsen twins are launching a line of Wiccan supplies for 21st century witches. Because these poor kids grew up in that satanic, witchy Hollywood industry. And they got a hold, somebody couldn't let these little girls make all that money and just get away with it, right? I'm sure they're more than controlled, It says, what's next for Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, the twin child actors who became immensely wealthy fashionistas? Oh, they do fashion too, okay. A line of elite Wiccan supplies for today's discerning witches and warlocks. This is a spiritual war we're in, no joke. But now this stuff's even becoming more mainstream, right? As the war intensifies. Like their clothing and accessories lines, Olsen products aren't cheap, but one can assume they come with a hint of whatever supernatural powers make this duo so otherworldly. Interesting. just a lot of pain and sadness in their eyes, on their face when I look at them, you know? Like, what have these people seen? And what did someone do to them when I see them? It says here, a minimalist cauldron will set you back $395. Ritual candles sell for $79 each. A chic, rusticized cigarette case that's haunted by the ghost of a family from the Victorian era, will set you back $95. If that's a real thing, a cigarette case that's haunted by the ghosts of a family from the Victorian era. But we do know that spirits can attach themselves to things. That's just creepy. They even put that in there as a selling point, and they're selling it, right? Anyway. I think I covered this one last week, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. I don't know why I pulled it up. After seeing extraterrestrials and a UFO, this artist is delivering a message from space. And I believe these are the fallen ones, interdimensional aliens, or interdimensional demonic entities. Spirits of the fallen angels, if you like. These are the pictures he made of these fallen ones, these reptiles. Shapeshifters. Here's another one I put up on the website. It's just kind of awesome, I think. Check this out. Ghost attacked taxi in Hong Kong. Watch this. Now that's freaky. That is freaky. Classic story. Classic. Psychiatrist who treated patients for their homosexuality had sex with male patients in his office. Longtime Toronto psychiatrist who believes homosexuality is a, quote, sexual disorder that can be overcome has been found guilty by Ontario's medical regulator of sexually abusing 2 of his male patients. Dr. Melvin Iscove, 72, dang. Still being a perv at 72, huh? Was described in a decision of the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario's Discipline Committee as having a special interest in the treatment of patients with problems related to homosexuality. He also engaged in mutual masturbation and oral sex with 2 male patients on different occasions during therapy sessions. I think you'd need therapy after that, right? And once had, anal intercourse, that even hurts to say, with one of them in his office. Neither complainant described any emotional or romantic aspects of the sexual activity, and both said that at some point they thought that the sexual activity was part of the therapy in an attempt to cure them of homosexuality by engaging in the acts rather than fantasizing about them. Huh. Oof. Good news for Black Mirror fans. Season 5 has been confirmed by Netflix, so it's coming back. That picture is from my favorite episode of this last season. That was a good one. The whole season was really good, but Good stuff. A lot of truth in Black Mirror. And not everybody out there. A lot of people think that it's hard to find any truth in any mainstream media, but I think that God's got people in all areas, even in entertainment. And they're given platforms to put their art out, their information out, whether they even know it or not. And I see shows like Black Mirror as a real warning for humanity and also for the times we're in. It's pretty intense. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out sometime. Anyway, just letting y'all know, if you didn't know that, it's coming back. Senior advisor at HUD spread conspiracy theory. Ooh, that Clinton campaign chairman was a Satanist. Oh, there's no way, right? It couldn't be. A senior advisor at the Department of Housing and Urban Development spread they're already saying, this is CNN, of course, a false conspiracy theory that claimed Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign chairman took part in a satanic ritual. We know this stuff's happening, right? Joe Gibbs is a former conservative commentator who initially joined the HUD as the director for Strong Cities and Strong Communities in August of 2017. Gibbs, a political appointee, transitioned to the role of senior advisor. On Twitter, Gibbs made multiple references to a CIA created that term. You knew that, right? Conspiracy theory. References to a conspiracy theory started by far-right bloggers claiming Clinton campaign chairman Johnny Podesta took part in satanic ritual. Tweets from Gibbs achieved on the the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine show him promoting the conspiracy four times before October 31st and November 5th, 2016, using the hashtag spirit cooking. Good for him. He's getting the information out there. Of course, he'll be crucified by the media, but here's a guy that tried to get some info out. The Trump supporter says. Awesome article. Awesome article. Check this out. I got this on urbansurvivalsite.com. 17 natural antibiotics our grandparents used. Man, please check this out. I love stuff like this. I love all natural cures. As I said, I was a corpsman in the Coast Guard for 8 years. I was a medic at one point in my life, active duty. And when I got out of that, I totally hated medicine. I was more into learning about organic treatments for everything and more holistic type medicine cures. So anyway, I really like this article. So check it out. 17 natural antibiotics our grandparents used. It's kind of a long article, or I'd read it to you, but check it out. Good stuff. Man, China, we already know it's communist over there, and they're really putting the hammer down, no pun intended. China to bar people with bad social credit. Ooh, bad social credit from planes and trains. Check this out. China said it will be applying its so-called social credit system to flights and trains and stop people who have committed misdeeds from taking such transport for up to a year. People who would be put on the restricted lists include those found to have committed acts like spreading false information, kind of like how YouTube's coming after, quote, conspiracy theorists, right? About terrorism and causing trouble on flights, as well as those who used expired tickets or smoked on trains. According to 2 statements issued on the National Development and Reform Commission's website on Friday. Those found to have committed financial wrongdoings is another one, such as employers who failed to pay social insurance or people who have failed to pay fines would also face these restrictions. They'll be in effect on May 1st. The move is in line with President Xi Jinping's plan to construct a social credit system based on the principle of once untrustworthy, always restricted. Oh boy. Said one of the notices, which was signed by 8 ministries. You love how they call them ministries, including the country's aviation regulator and the Supreme People's Court. Like, America mirrors a lot of this behavior, don't they? I wouldn't be surprised if this was happening in America. This was, California high school teacher on leave after questioning double standard in the walkouts. A lot of the kids did a walkout all around the nation for gun control. High school teacher in California is placed on leave on Wednesday after she questioned what she said was a double standard in the nationwide school walkouts. We had a dialogue in class about it Thursday and Friday, and today I received the call, so I'm aghast. Benzel said she did not discourage students from taking part. And so I just kind of used the example, which I know it's really controversial, but I know it was the best example I thought of at the time. A group of students nationwide or even locally decided, I want to walk out of school for 17 minutes and go in the quad area and protest abortion. Would that be allowed by our administration? She told the television station. If you're going to allow students to walk up and get out of class without penalty, then you have to allow any group of students that wants to protest. Yeah. And that got her in some trouble. Research shows more than half of millennials are going through a, quote, quarter-life crisis. It used to be a midlife crisis, mainly focused on men, right? They always, oh, you're going through your midlife crisis. You know, it's like the 40-something-year-old guy gets the sports car or hair plugs or, whatever it is. And they're going through the midlife crisis. Or they get divorced and find a younger girlfriend, whatever it is. But now millennials, now the midlife crisis has turned into a quarter-life crisis, which I think is a reflection of a lot of things. Research shows more than half millennials are going through a quarter-life crisis. Study was carried out by First Direct Bank and a psychologist named Dr. Oliver Robinson. They found out a huge number of 25 to 35-year-olds are struggling to cope with financial, career, and personal pressure. %52% of the people said they were spending more money than they earn each month. Well, that's like basically that beast world system for all of us on the middle to lower end, right? I mean, how many of you have spent most of your lives living paycheck to paycheck? I know I have, I've got to move around and do a lot. Money was never really the focus. I've always looked at my experiences, my experiences as my currency myself, but I'm not married with kids either. I've always been able to maneuver on my own. I'm a bit of a gypsy, but still, there's people with families and without families that live paycheck to paycheck. It's just kind of how most people do, right? The quarter life crisis, isn't that interesting? This world gets crazier, right? Florida scientists are running around at night bashing in iguanas' skulls. A team of scientists in Florida are on a 3-month, $63,000 iguana bashing spree. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission contracted the 15-member crew from the University of Florida to develop a set of best practices for killing the big lizards. So far, bashing their heads in seems to be a winning method. It's a shame. Head bashing may be gruesome, the researchers told the Sun Sentinel, but it's also the most humane of the effective methods they've come up with. Simply chopping the lizards' heads off turns out to be less humane, and the traps the team set have thus far only captured raccoons. Working in teams of 2, sneaking up on the lizards in the dead of night and bashing them seems to be the best method. Huh. Interesting creatures, though. Whack! Boom! Worse than Rockdale, I'm not sure. Telford child abuse ring. Horrors of Britain's worst ever grooming scandal revealed with up to 1,000 kids drugged and abused. As many as 1,000 children are feared to have been drugged and abused by perverts in Telford Shrops since the 1980s, but their hell went on for decades as authorities repeatedly failed to stamp out a network of pedophiles in the town. The number of victims estimated by child abuse experts means there could have been more per head of population than in the scandals that rocked Rochdale and Rochdale, I'm not sure, and Rotherham in recent years. That's one of the pervs, Mubarak Ali. He was jailed for killing the teen along with her mom, blah, blah, blah. Another victim who was drugged in gang rapes. So it just sounds like all bad stuff out there. Bad. But good thing, these things are being exposed. It's the good news, I guess. Saying you're going to hell if you don't believe in Jesus is, quote, insanity, megachurch pastor Michael A. Walren Jr. says. Michael A. Walren Jr., one of New York City's most influential pastors who leads the more than 10,000-member First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, is coming under fire online for telling his congregants that the belief that Jesus is the only way to heaven is insanity. Prior to preaching one of the sermons at First Corinthians just over 2 weeks ago, Walren asked the congregation to recite their purpose statement, which he said shapes our identity as a congregation. We are an ever-evolving community of visionaries, dreamers, and doers who have been called by God to live the lives we were created to live, commanded by God to love beyond the limits of our prejudices, and commissioned by God to serve. The statement read, it was while explaining the statement to those who were not familiar with the church's position that he explained his multiple ways to God concept. I mean, this is unbiblical, and that's the biggest issue. And it's tough. It's how us people that follow Christ, it's how we can get a bad rap from other people. But I've said this for years, our faith is the only one that can't coexist with the other ones because our faith offers a savior, a personal savior for humanity and for each individual. So, of course, we can't coexist with the other faiths. That's why they talk about the narrow path. It really is a narrow path. And not everyone finds it. And to me, I love these shows. I love making my videos, and I'm dedicated. This is my life. I've been doing this 10 years now, on and off YouTube of my life. Lost a YouTube channel 4 years ago. For those who've lost channels, I know what it feels like. I mean, I've been in it, like I said, on and off YouTube for years, and I'll continue being here as long as the Lord allows me, as long as I'm still here. But at the end of the day, all that really matters to me, and what I hope everything that I've done leads people to, is to accepting Jesus Christ. To accepting Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, getting filled with that Holy Spirit, have a direct connection with your Heavenly Father, build that relationship. I read the Bible for myself. I'm no preacher or anything over here, but that's what I hope it leads you to, because I think that's all that matters. Like I said, we can do these shows all the time. It's fun. It's interesting. I can make my videos. I feel it's important, stuff I see and I share. But at the end of the day, none of this stuff matters if people aren't getting that message. It's at the end of the day, that's all that matters, guys. Each one of us as individuals have a decision to make. That's my opinion. So anyway, just more of this. Of course, it's a mega church, and this is why I'm not a big fan of religion, organized religion. Because there's a difference between being a, quote, Christian, which is a religion that's pagan, right? It started with the Vatican. So we have this pagan Christianity. Or to truly follow the ways of Christ, read the Bible for yourself, have a relationship with God, and truly believe. Faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. It's a metaphor, right? But I believe that. You've got your faith and you believe, and you've got Jesus, you can do anything. You can conquer anything. Sad new details revealed. I covered this one a few weeks ago, so it's an update. Sad new details revealed about the 20-year-old girl who is permanently blind after gouging her eyes out while on drugs. Kaylee Muthart gouged her own eyes out outside of a church while in a meth-induced hallucination last month and is on a journey to recovery. On February 6th, Muthart, 20, was found ripping out her eyes in front of a South Carolina church. She was rushed to the hospital, but her eyes could not be saved. She is completely blind. That was a struggle. I can't even explain the feeling when I found out. It was horrifying. Complete terror, Muthart's mother said. I was thankful she was alive, but I knew something was wrong with her. And there they are. Muthart claims she was told to, quote, sacrifice her eyes in order to go to heaven during her hallucination. She became very involved with religion. So this was my opinion, demonic attack. To sacrifice your eyes in order to go to heaven. I thought everyone who had died was stuck in their graves, that God was up in heaven alone, and that I had to sacrifice something important to be able to release everyone in the world to God. She told people it made the world darker and took everything I believed in and distorted them to make me go down the path to pulling out my eyes. It was scary. I didn't understand what God wanted of me, but it made me feel a sense of righteousness that I had to be the one to do it. and I was glad to do it because I've always had a big heart and nobody is ever giving me that love back. She then went on to explain the incident brought on by meth that was most likely laced with other chemicals. She says, I proceeded to pull out my eyes with my bare hands and twisted them and pulled them and popped them. I told the pastor who showed up, pray for me. I want to see the light. Pray for me. There's a picture of her. Another reason why I believe we need Jesus. I've done videos on this stuff in the past as well. People have trouble with sleep paralysis and seeing spirits and stuff. You can command them out in the name of Christ. It's the only name they're going to respond to. And that's been documented for years by other people all over the world. Anyway, that's the young lady. And she was under an attack, spiritual attack. This kid got horrible news. His anti-gun campaign blows up in his face. In the months since the high school shooting in Parkland, American television screens have seen images of angry teenagers demanding that grown-ups do something about guns in the U.S. But there's a huge part of the young adult population who aren't making it onto the mass media's television screens, but have evidently decided to do something about this gun violence on their own. Arm themselves so they can be responsible for their own defense. According to Bellevue, Washington-based Second Amendment Foundation, the organization has experienced a massive surge in people aged 18 to 20 joining or supporting the organization. In a news release, Foundation founder and executive vice president attributed the spike to the fact that one of the most tangible results of the aftermath of the Stoneman Douglas shooting had been a new gun law in Florida that bans purchases of rifles by those under 21. We normally don't get that many members or donors in that age group since the gun rights movement typically tends towards older Americans. But the 18 to 20-year-olds, the kids, have never been specifically targeted before, and they are obviously alarmed. This influx of young Americans into the gun rights movement is important, not just to respond to the current gun control threat, but as the movement has gotten older, it is encouraging to see so many young adults getting involved in support of Second Amendment rights. It's good stuff for the kids there. Yeah, I'll pass. The penis facial. It's the latest disturbing beauty treatment. On Thursday, Page 6 reported that Ocean's 8 stars Kate Blanchett and her pal Sandra Bullock had tried the penis facial. The Hollywood EGF facial, a $650 treatment, involves a cleanse, chemical pill, microneedling, an electrifying face mask, and a so-called epidermal growth factor, a serum that happens to be derived from the foreskin of Korean newborns. Oh my goodness. The substance supposedly helps generate collagen and elastin in the skin. This is almost like that X-Files episode, people feeding off of other humans, right? In some sense. And these people are feeding off of other humans to maintain their beauty, their vanity. I'm clicking this. That's going to go in a video. This is one that needs to be, unbelievable. Even urine therapy made a splash. They'll be here all week, folks. Tip your waitress. Urine therapy made a splash, so to speak, thousands of years ago when it was an ancient Eastern tradition commonly used for myriad purposes. Antibodies found naturally in urine have antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties and can feasibly treat skin ailments. Well, that's okay. I get it. When you get stung by a jellyfish, they always say you're supposed to pee on yourself. I lived in Maui, Hawaii 2 years. I was out surfing one time. I wasn't a big surfer, like little waves, a 3-4 foot face I could handle, but I was out there surfing with friends and a bunch of jellyfish swarmed in from out of nowhere, right? So I was paddling back and I was feeling my arms, it felt like electric currents. And I was reaching down and I could feel their, whatever they are, that hang off jellyfish. I could feel my fingers on them and I was peeling them off and pulling them off my arms and just, struggling to get out of there as quick as I could. And I got back up on shore and you could see all the red lines where their freaking things have been stinging me. And some little kid, a little Hawaiian kid, just told me, he goes, "You got to pee on it, brah." So I was like, "You sure?" "Yeah, brah." I was like, "You're not messing with me, right?" "No, brah." I was like, "Okay." So I went and did it out in the jungle. I, TT'd on my forearms and it took the pain away immediately. It was amazing. So there you go. So I guess I get that, but they're not shooting parts of other human beings into themselves with the urine treatment like this thing up here. Anyway, the things we do for beauty. How to tell if your child's a future psychopath. This one's from a little bit earlier in March, but I thought it was a good article. I just want to throw it up there for you if you guys want to go check this out sometime. So let's see here. It was the first time the high school freshman had used that particular tone, but he continued to deploy it as he menaced his mom and dad. Let's start off here. 4 years ago, Lilith Quillen cowered behind a padlocked door as her teenage son, taller and stronger than she is, paced back and forth in rage. Suddenly he went quiet. "Don't let me hurt you, Mom," he said. His voice sounded chillingly calm. It was the first time the high school freshman had used that particular tone, but he continued to deploy it as he menaced his mom and dad. He used the kind of language of abusive husbands, manipulating and controlling, says Quillen, who had installed locks on every door inside her house except her son's bedroom. "I was terrified of what he was going to do next." The boy, whom Quillen chooses to call Kevin in her interview with the Post in reference to the unnerving Lionel Shriver novel, We Need to Talk About Kevin. Oh, wow. Funny they dropped that. Let me see if I want to show you something here. Okay, that's the book. We Need to Talk About Kevin. They made a movie about We Need to Talk About Kevin. That is, I hadn't seen it in so long. Now that I read that, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. It is one of the most disturbing films I've seen in a long time. It's right up there in probably the top 10 movies I've seen that really get under your skin. And it's all about a kid that's a psychopath and how his mother, they don't say this, but she's basically like the empath or the loving one. And she just can't understand how a child can really be that bad, and it just goes worse and worse and worse until it's a really shocking and insane kind of an ending. So We Need to Talk About Kevin. Definitely not a happy movie. I wouldn't, hey, let's grab the kids. We're gonna settle in and watch some We Need to Talk About Kevin. I wouldn't do that. But if you like these kind of thrillers and kind of darker subject matter and these studies on in psychology, like the study of a real psychopath, that's what We Need to Talk About Kevin was all about. So anyway, I don't want to keep going into this. It's a pretty long article, but I just wanted to throw it up there for you if you want to check that out sometime. How to tell if your child is a future psychopath. The heck? Saw that earlier. What's this one? Transgender MMA fighter beats male opponent. Opponent says it would be unfair to fight women. Transgender MMA fighter beats male opponent. Opponent says it would be unfair to fight women. Not only is Brazilian MMA fighter Anne Viriato transitioning in the opposite manner from male to female, but she competes in the opposite manner against men. And unlike the Texas high school wrestler, and we saw that video, I think, last week from Mac Beggs, Virato said it'd be unfair for her to fight against women, which is true. Right? But still, just this, right? This is our new reality. See it in everything now. I'm not sure why I popped this one up. I probably just clicked on it by accident. Looks like another long story. Silicon Valley's favorite prison reformer accused of sexual assault and harassment. So, the nonprofit company founded by Catherine Hoke says it is dedicated to helping formerly incarcerated people start their own businesses and stay out of prison. Anyway, it turns out, I guess she has a shady business. I don't think I meant to have that one up there. It's really not something I would care that much about, to be honest with you. But it's up there, so let's move on. This is pretty wild. You're Alvin a laugh. I guess they're trying to it's a play on words. They're trying to say you're having a laugh, right? But you're Alvin a laugh. Parents left stunned after son 10 yells the F word after hearing it on Alvin and the Chipmunks cartoon. And yeah, they play it. Listen to this. It's pretty clear.
Oh, fuck off! Oh, fuck off! Oh, fuck off!
Yeah, and that was on a Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's for the kids. It's safe for the kids. Alvin and the Chipmunks. But just, you know, when I see that, again, it's just more like corrupting the innocence anyway. Anything they do against the children, just more corrupting of the innocence and destroying purity. You know? Crazy. Inside the Soviets' Cold War experiments to create two-headed dogs and how one of these monsters lived for a month. There's a picture. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's a total, like, yeah, I think it's disgusting, and it's against God's, you know, beautiful creation when man starts doing stuff like this. It's just, it's kind of horrific. Frankenstein. Another one. There's that Tom. Just, right? Just messed up. Wow, look at that. Oof. Right? Arkansas students punished with paddles for walking out.
3 students at an...
I was just surprised by this. 3 students at an Arkansas high school were reportedly punished with paddles this week after leaving school to participate in the national walkout to protest gun violence. I just put this up there because I didn't know they still paddled kids. Like, really? Like, some schools still paddle kids? I remember in my elementary school, I used to get paddled. Like, I remember way back in elementary school, and I'm not going to say what year it was, but I remember they used to paddle us. And I mean, I got paddled quite a few times. It was by our principal. And I remember he had a big paddle with little holes notched out throughout it. He said he had it that way so, you know, he wouldn't catch any wind and he could hit you harder with it. Like, he really scared the crap out of you when you went in there. And he made you put your hands on the desk and lean over, and then he'd swat you. I mean, so I remember that from my childhood, but I didn't know they were still doing that in school. They still swatting kids. Interesting. Seems like they're not swatting them enough by the way a lot of these little kids are acting these days. Home Sweet Home is just something I wanted to share. These are kind of interesting. Instagram account dedicated to world's ugliest homes, features interior designs ranging from terrifying to absurd. But these are pretty cool, man. Look at that. I thought these were interesting. I don't know if I can blow those up anymore. Well, that's not really cool. I didn't notice that at first, but I definitely wouldn't want a huge devil with fire in his mouth on my wall, but it's definitely different. It's kind of interesting right there. Look at that. It's padded leather. Oh, that's pretty cool, huh? It's a gigantic fireplace. Looks like a volcano in the middle of the house. Cool. It's kind of cool looking. Futuristic couch. Look at that. Getting into bed after a night in the pub would be a challenge for the occupant of this bedroom. Isn't that crazy? Like right in the middle of a pool. I kind of really like it. I don't know why. I don't know if I'd want to have that, but it's definitely something different, right? That's pretty interesting. Wow. Oof. Looks gross. Looks like something bad happened there. Weird. It's kind of cool. Rocky hot tub. And there you go. And I think that's it. I think that concludes our stories. Let me jump over to the chat and see how y'all are doing. Here it is. Hi, guys. Hey, chat room. Hey, man, I just wanted to say thanks again for being here, you guys. Thanks for taking some time and hanging out. I'd said last week I'm going to do a catching up with KJ. I may do that tomorrow night. I got a video I'm going to finish up. Hopefully, I'll put it up tomorrow during the day and maybe do a catching up tomorrow night or maybe Sunday night. I'd like to do another one of those so I can just, if you've never been a part of it, come check it out, man. We hang out. Basically, you ask anything you want or bring up any subjects you want in the chat, and we just kind of talk about whatever. We kind of go from there, you know, so it's real loose. It's a way for us to dialogue with each other. If you've got questions for me or whatever, it's, you know, that's what it's used for, you know, so should be a lot of fun. We'll do that over the next few nights. Another big thank you to those of you who support my work on Patreon and through PayPal. I lost like over 30 patrons in a month. And at first it hurt my feelings. See, I think some people expect me to maybe be uploading every day, and I just don't work that way. Y'all know that who see my work. It takes me a lot of time to put this stuff together, and I'm looking into stuff every single day, and I've got so many half-finished videos right now. I'm just waiting on other news stories or whatever to come out, other pieces of the puzzle to drop, you know, so that's how I work. So if you're wanted to support and you expect me to upload every day, I'm sorry I don't. I do have a website, whoiskjosborne.com. I upload a lot of other stuff over there I don't put on YouTube, so you can check that out. But I want to say thanks to silverbotanicals.com. It's my sponsor. If you guys want to check them out, they'll replace toxic products in your household with something all natural. Go to silverbotanicals.com. You can use the code capital KJO 2018. You'll get 10% off. They've been wonderful to me, and they've sent me some products, and it's amazing. So I love everything I've tried. My mom basically co-opted most of what they sent, but what I've used has been really, really good. So that's it, man. God bless you guys. As I said, I'm not a preacher, pastor, or priest. I'm a kid that believes in following the ways of Christ. If you don't have Jesus, that's what matters right now, in my opinion, guys, the most. Please seek him out. It's easy to do. You just got to believe, you accept. Try following the ways. You read the Bible for yourself. Find people you can talk to about it and about him, and go from there, you know. Easy peasy, right? Anyway, man, on that note, and also thanks to my wonderful mods, man. I have got some of the coolest mods ever. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks again. I was in a chat room a while back, and the mods were kind of mean. In fact, one of them started talking about me personally. They didn't even know I was there. They're saying I'm a snake or something. So, and then people piled in, yeah, KJ's really garbage. And it's just, you know, then I'm out of there. So this is, you know, I just wanted to say, when I have those experiences, thanks to my mods for not being that way. I know you block the jerky trolls out there, but otherwise, you know, we don't do stuff like that. So thanks. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to go. I promise. I'll do a catching up in the next few nights so we can all hang out and talk. I love you guys, man. Thanks again for everything. God bless, and I'll talk to you later.